Nike finally delivers Caitlin Clark PE. Is this the first Caitlin Clark exclusive Nike commercial since she's entered the
Okay, imagine this. The sports world is buzzing about some seriously awkward WNBA viewership numbers, games without one specific player drawing shockingly low crowds. Then, right in the middle of that conversation, Nike, the giant of sports marketing, drops an absolute bomb. Their first major solo commercial for Caitlin Clark lands, featuring exclusive Kobe PEs. And suddenly, you have to wonder, did Nike finally wake up and realize who their biggest star really is? Or is this just a calculated move years too late?
At least we saw something. We saw something from Nike about her PE. And they finally released a PE. Paige Becker's already got a PE. Jewel Lloyd's got multiple. A lot of
Because the timing? It's utterly brutal for anyone trying to argue that Clark isn't in a league of her own when it comes to driving eyeballs and dollars. This isn't just awkward, it's a direct, unavoidable spotlight on the viewership gulf. Just look at the numbers from games this past week that didn't feature the Indiana Fever. NBA TV aired 3 games, supposedly showcasing marketable stars, and the combined viewership for all 3? It was still less than Clark's lowest rated game this season on the same network. We're talking about major matchups, teams with popular players, established stars, pulling in figures like 240,000, 220,000, and a truly jaw-dropping 100,000 viewers. 100,000 viewers on television in the year 2024? That number is barely visible from orbit. To put it bluntly, one player in one game is consistently drawing more viewers than 3 games featuring multiple other highly touted athletes combined. That's the cold, hard, undeniable context in which Nike decided it was finally time to give Clark the superstar commercial treatment. The contrast couldn't be sharper, and the message from the market couldn't be clearer.
So Nike finally released their trailer for Caitlin Clark's sneaker. They finally did. And a lot of people thought that when Nike were talking up, they were going to be, talking up like Caitlin might have been getting her signature shoe. They might have been talking up potentially Caitlin getting that signature shoe. And it would have been really cool if Caitlin got her signature shoe. But let's be real, that was never happening. That was never, ever, ever happening.
But let's talk about the commercial itself, because setting aside the context for a moment, it's actually a masterpiece. It's pure classic Nike, moody, atmospheric, intensely focused not just on the physical grind, but the mental battle. You see Clark lacing up these sharp new Kobe 5 Pro PEs, and then the world around her seems to fade away. The noise disappears, replaced by laser focus. It's a visual representation of the Mamba mentality, that intense drive to dominate that Kobe Bryant embodied. And Nike didn't shy away from leaning into that. They incorporated the iconic snake eyes effect, a subtle but powerful nod to Kobe's nickname and his legendary on-court focus. By tying Clark so directly to the Mamba brand, Nike isn't just selling shoes. They're positioning her within the highest echelon of basketball greatness. They're saying she belongs in that rare air among the legends. The cinematography is top tier. The sound design is immersive. The overall production value is immense. This isn't some quick, low-budget promo. This is a serious, high-effort commercial designed for a serious major athlete. It's the kind of production you see for LeBron James, for Kevin Durant, for Michael Jordan in their prime. It's the kind of treatment that shouts superstar.
And by the way, I know she doesn't have a signature shoe, but this is the first time in 5 years that there is a player that has had their own Kobe. Available 30th of the 6th in selected regions.
Which makes the next point so incredibly baffling. Given her proven ability to move merchandise, generate unparalleled buzz, and drive viewership numbers unseen in the league's history. The question isn't, is she worth this commercial? The question is, why did it take Nike this long? Clark has been arguably Nike's most commercially valuable basketball asset since before she even stepped onto a WNBA court. She was breaking college viewership records, selling out arenas, and her merchandise was flying off shelves. Yet, it took Nike almost 2 full seasons to unleash a proper solo, big-budget commercial like this. The delay is astonishing. It felt, frankly, like an act of corporate foot-dragging, like they were hesitant to fully embrace the phenomenon they had on their hands. Maybe they were waiting. Maybe they were unsure. Maybe they were just slow. Whatever the reason, their apparent hesitation up to this point borders on incompetence, especially when you look at the sheer, untapped potential they were sitting on. It's a puzzle that frustrates fans and baffles market analysts alike.
Players.
And speaking of fans, their reaction to this commercial has been exactly what you'd expect. Overwhelmingly positive, but laced with a collective sigh of, finally. Scroll through the comments on social media, and that word pops up constantly. People are thrilled to see Clark finally getting the high-level marketing she's earned. But there's an undertone of, what took you so long, Nike? It speaks volumes about the frustration that's been building as people watch this obvious marketing opportunity seemingly go underutilized. But beyond the sentiment, the tangible proof of her market power is about to hit. These Kobe 5 Pro PEs, especially with the Clark connection, are guaranteed to vanish from the Nike SNKRS app in seconds. The resale market? Get ready for prices that will make your eyes water, likely hitting thousands of dollars a pair. And remember, this isn't even a signature shoe yet. It's just a player exclusive. Nike is essentially using this as a high-stakes test run. They're gauging the market response to this level of promotion, and based on the hype, the results are going to be off the charts. That signature shoe announcement? Given this response, it's not just likely, it's practically inevitable now. But here's where the conversation gets uncomfortable, and it's the elephant in the room nobody can ignore. This commercial, and the level of production and marketing behind it, throws a harsh spotlight on the commercial reality for other players in the league, even incredibly talented ones like A'ja Wilson. Wilson has been a foundational Nike athlete for years, a legitimate superstar, a 2-time MVP, a champion, and she absolutely deserves recognition. Nike has given her commercials, sure, but let's be blunt. They haven't had this level of creative ambition, this production value, this symbolic connection to the highest echelons of the sport. The difference in treatment between what Wilson has received and what Clark just got isn't subtle. It's glaring. This isn't a knock on Wilson, obviously. She can't control Nike's marketing budget or the public's viewing habits. But it has to be incredibly difficult and likely frustrating for established veterans to see a second-year player instantly receive the kind of promotional push that took them years, if ever, to build up to. It's the brutal, often unfair reality of professional sports marketing. Talent alone isn't always enough to dictate who gets the massive marketing machine behind them. You have to move the needle commercially, and right now, nobody in the league moves the needle like Clark. Nike's commercial is essentially confirming that reality. From a strategic business perspective, however, this commercial is Nike finally playing catch-up and placing a monumental bet. They're unequivocally stating what the viewership numbers, the merchandise sales, and the social media buzz have been screaming for months. Caitlin Clark is their most valuable basketball asset right now. Not just in the WNBA, not just in women's sports, but across their entire basketball roster. This commercial isn't just about selling PEs, it's about establishing her as a cornerstone of their global brand strategy. It represents a potential turning point in how Nike and hopefully other major brands approach women's basketball marketing. They're moving beyond treating it as a secondary concern or a box to check for diversity purposes and recognizing the immense, untapped commercial potential. The production team clearly understood the assignment. They created something epic, something that positions Clark not just as another player, but as a cultural icon in the making. The attention to detail, from the symbolism of the snake eyes to the overall cinematic feel, shows real investment and belief. So, what does this all mean? Nike finally remembered they like making money, and Caitlin Clark is their golden ticket. This commercial is more than just an ad for sneakers. It's a statement. It's a statement about who holds the power in terms of market attention right now. It's a statement that the undeniable force of her popularity has finally compelled the biggest brand in sports to act with the seriousness she deserves. The timing is impeccable, the execution is flawless, and the contrast with those shockingly low ratings for games without her makes the entire situation almost unbelievable. While other games struggle to find an audience, Nike is pouring resources into elevating their undeniable star. This isn't the end, it's just the beginning. We're likely to see clothing lines, that signature shoe, and a level of promotional support that will redefine how women's basketball is marketed globally. The game has changed, and Nike, after a surprising delay, is finally leading the charge by putting their chips on the player who has proven beyond any doubt that she can move the world.